everyone, this is Rashi and welcome back to the Reading Platter, and in today's video we will be discussing the series that I gave up on. They're not all bad. We'll be discussing the reasons why I have gave up on this series. They're not all bad. I have gave up on some series because they were very long, and some other reasons as well. We'll be discussing them. The series that I gave up on, there are actually 14 series that I gave up on, and let's start. And the first one that I gave up on is Marvel Ultimate Graphic Novels, and it's by multiple authors, and I have read only one. And I gave up on this because first I wasn't enjoying it a lot because I like watching Marvel movies and I have watched them and I have loved them actually, but the graphic novels I don't think like it actually it will increase the number of books that I have read, but I don't want that because I have actually watched the movies and the stories in the graphic novels will be a little different, I think. And the second reason I gave up on is because it has 158 books in the series till now, and it will be increasing every 2 or 3 months because new Marvel movies come out, new characters come out, new novels come out. So that will be very like once I just enter into that world, I won't be able to stop, and it will be chaotic because there are more than 150 books right now, and 158 to be exact. So I don't want to get caught up in that. I have a lot of books that I have to read, so yeah. It's not like I'm just giving up on them. Like I'm not like reading them, putting them on my TBR, but if I feel like, I'll read them as well. If I feel like, or if I have to put graphic novels on my TBR, or if I feel like I have to read something shorter, something like that. The second series is the Jumbies by Tracy Baptist, and this is a trilogy and I have read 2 books out of it. The first book I really enjoyed it. I picked the second one. The story was fine. It was not that good as compared to the first one. Like by the time I finished the second book, I started losing interest in this, and I do not want to hate the series because I really enjoyed the first book and it was so nice, it was so good. It introduced me to a new genre and it also brought me back out of my reading slump, so I was not ready to hate the series. So I thought like it was the best time to give up on the series. I'll read the third book if ever I get a chance, but I don't think I will be reading it because the second story, I don't think I really enjoyed it. The first one was really nice. The second book was not that good, and I really don't want to rate the whole series like 2 or 3 stars. That's why I just gave up on the series. The next series is Green Glass House by Kate Milford, and the series contained 5 books and I have read only one. Actually, I enjoyed the first book. The only reason that I gave up on the series is because there are a lot of characters in the first book, and in the upcoming books the characters will only increase, and I'm not a fan of books that have a lot of characters because it's so confusing. It's so confusing to remember their names, the characteristics, the things they have done. It is really difficult to remember so many characters from one book or one series. So that's why I didn't start with the second book. There was a little bit of cliffhanger from the first book, but I'm okay with that because there will be a cliffhanger because this is not a standalone. And like the first part of the stories had ended, and to continue with the second book there was a little bit of cliffhanger, but I'm totally fine with that. That's why I just gave up on the series because like if I would have continued, I would have hated the series. I know that very well, because it is a long series. It is a 5-book series, and there are so many characters in just first book, and I cannot imagine the number of characters there will be in more books. So I just don't like the books with so many characters, so I just gave up on it. The next one, I won't be talking about this one at all. Actually, it is Reclaiming Heaven by E.R. White, and I received the first book as an ARC, and I have DNF'd it. It is a 2-book series, or maybe there will be more books in the future in the series, but I DNF'd it because it was so horribly stupid, and I just hated every part of this book. Actually, I really don't want to discuss the series over here because I don't think it is worth it at all. It was disturbing, actually. Same for the next one, that is A Sentimental 10 by Daniela Valenti, I don't know. And there are a lot of books. Like, actually, she announced somewhere that there will be 12 books, I don't know, and I DM'd the first book, like after the first chapter, and I have discussed it in previous videos as well. I won't be discussing it, this book here, this series here. It was so bad, so bad. I really disliked it was also an arc that I received, and I don't know what to say about this book. I DNF'd it after first chapter, and I was not at all interested in reading even one word. And there are 12 books. Like, she announced there will be 12 books. There can be more, there can be less, I don't know, but the starting of the story was really bad. And I have read the reviews as well, and there were so many reviews that agreed with what I think, so I really just didn't want to, read it. The next is Pack Samson comic by Rashad Dosay, and I don't know how many books this series have. This series is ongoing, actually, and I have read the first one. I really enjoyed it, but the thing is, it was not that good that I'll continue reading this series or let it be on my TBR. That's why I just gave up on the series. If I get a chance, if I receive an arc for this series, I'll definitely read it, I'll review it, but I won't be picking it up voluntarily. And if I really have to put it on my TBR somewhere, I will pick it up. I don't know. I really enjoyed the book. It's not like I hated it. The book was good. Book was nice. It was very simple, nice. The illustrations were very good, but I don't think I will be continuing with the series. The next one is Potomac Point by Jamie Beck, and this is a trilogy, and I have read the third book. Actually, you can read the books as standalone. The author herself said it, but I don't think you can read it as standalone. I received the third book as an arc, but I gave up on it, not because I didn't start from the first book, but actually because the story was not good. The protagonist of the story was a complete psycho, you can say, and I don't know where the story was going. In the beginning, the story was nice, it was interesting, but after like the 6th or 7th chapter, I just felt like I cannot keep up with this protagonist. She is, I don't know what she is. I mean, it was not at all good. I tried to read it because it was an arc, so I tried to read it. I thought that I was the problem because I did not read the first 2 books, but really the 3 books are not connected. They are connected, the characters are connected, but the stories are completely different. You can read it as standalone, but don't read it because I don't recommend it. It was not at all good. I hated it. The next one is Innocence by Alexa Riley, and is a trilogy, and I DNF the second book, actually that this is an adult book, and I'm not good at reading these kinds of books, but I did read the first one. It was okay. It was not that good, or how should I explain it? It wasn't, I don't know. I wasn't feeling comfortable while reading it. The second book was so horrible. I cannot explain the language and the things that were happening in that book. And I DNF'd it. I'm so happy. It was the shortest book, like for 50 to 60 pages, but I still DNF'd it because the character, like I cannot even explain it in this video, or it will be, you know, against YouTube policies. But things that were happening in the book was so horrible. How can you even imagine that things happening? And I don't know how to explain it, but I really don't recommend it. It was like the female character of this book, she was so irritating. Like, she thought that there is no other cute woman except her. And okay, let's stop here. And the next series that I want to talk about is Sterling Shore by CM Owens. And this is also, I guess, an adult book. It's an adult romance, not that kind of adult, not like the previous series that I just discussed. It is a 12 book series, and I read only first book. I completely read it and I regret it. I mean, I did not read the first book, and it's also a series. The characters are connected, but the stories and the books are completely different. And the book that I read was about was not something that I will enjoy. Okay, the story was about a stepbrother falling for a stepsister, and there was a lot of things happening, and you can't do those things with your brother and sisters, stepbrother or sisters. Okay. The next one is The Brown Sisters by Talia Hibbert, and this is a trilogy, and I have DNF'd the first one because I did not got attached to that book at all. There are a lot of booktubers who have loved this series, but I'm not one of them. I did not enjoy it at all. It was slow paced and long and not interesting at all. So I just DNF'd it and I just gave up on the series. I tried to read it further. I tried it after 4 to 5 months because it is still a hyped series. But really, I could not read it. It was not for me. So yeah, I just gave up on it. I don't think I will be reading it. I mean, reading it or picking it up again in the future. The next series is the one that I loved and then hated, and that is Bridget Jones by Helen Fielding. The first book in the Bridget Jones is the Bridget Jones Diary, and I loved it. It was very interesting, very nice. But it was long, unnecessarily long, but still I loved it. The story was good. But just to drag on the story, 4 books were made in the series. I picked the second one and I DNF'd it because it was so unnecessary. The story was going nowhere. It was just a diary and it made no sense. It was not good at all. It was not interesting. And that actually affected the book ratings for the first book. I gave it 5-star, I guess, and then I changed it to 4 stars because the story was not that good. So if you want to read the story, you can read the first one, but I don't think reading the next in the series will help you. The story was not good. It was diary format. First of all, I'm not a big fan of diary format, but I still read it and I loved it. But there was no need to write more books in the series, you know. The next one is Unusual Chickens by Kelly Jones, and this is a duology. I read the first one. It's a middle grade short book, but it was not that good that I would have picked the second book. The first one was okay. It was a 3-star book, I guess. But the second, I didn't pick up the second book because I know that I'll hate it. And if I know that I'll hate it, why will I pick it up and, waste my time and, say bad things about the book or the author? So that's why I just gave up on it. It was not for me. It was okay. It was not that bad, but it was not that good that I'll pick the next book in the series. The next one is Three Men by Jerome K. Jerome. You must have read it. It is a kind of a compulsory book in class 9th or 10th. And this is a duology, and I read the first book when I was in class 10th, like 7 years ago, and 7 to 8 years ago, and I really didn't like it at that time as well. I tried to reread it later, like in 2021, and I still didn't like it. So I just gave up on the series. There's no point in picking up the next book if I don't like the first one. That's why I just gave up on the series. The next one is Oz by L. Frank Baum. It is a 14-book series, and I have read the first one, The Wizard of Oz. That's a very, very famous book, and a lot of children have read it in middle school or high school. And to be honest, I really loved the first book. I enjoyed it so much. It was so worth it. But the series is way too long for a middle grade classic. Like 12 books is a lot for a series, a middle grade series, about the same characters and the same story. I know I'll just hate it in the future. So I just thought that I'll love the first book. I'll reread it any time if I have to say, yes, I have read The Wizard of Oz and I love it. It will be good. Instead of saying that I hate the Wizard of Oz series. So I just gave up on it because there are a lot of books, and I don't think I can keep up with that much amount of books in one series. So, but I really do recommend the first book. It's very, very nice, very, very sweet, and very adventurous, and it's a middle grade. So it's a fast-paced book, and yes, I loved it. So these are the 14 series that I gave up on. They are not only because I hated it, but also because they are long, and I love the first one so much that I thought that giving up on further reading the series is good. So yeah, this was it for today's video. I hope you got any book recommendations, or if you have any other opinion on these books, do let me know in the comment section down below, and we'll meet in the next one.